Uhuru, you are tuned in to the White Lies Shattered Reparations in Action show on Black Power 96.3 FM radio in St. Petersburg, Florida, and live streaming on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. My name is Lisa, and I will be your host today. White Lies Shattered, also known as Reparations in Action, is a program of white solidarity with Black power. We believe that reparations to African people is the key question of our times and is one that demands action on the part of European or white people. We salute and thank Chairman Omali Yeshitela and the African People's Socialist Party for leading the African Revolution and developing the theory of African internationalism and the understanding about the colonial mode of production. African internationalism is the theory and worldview of the African working class that guides the struggle for African liberation and which we credit all of our understandings and analysis that we provide in this podcast. And I would also like to salute Black Power 96 Radio, where this show originates. Black Power 96 has a slogan that they're not just explaining the world, but changing it. And you can get the Black Power 96 mobile app on Google Play or the Apple App Store and listen wherever you're located. And Black Power 96 is listener-funded radio, and they are in the July fund drive right now. So I encourage people to contribute toward the White Lies Shattered Reparations in Action show goal, and you can do that at blackpower96.org/reparations, and we'll be talking more about that throughout the show and raising a goal. We have a goal today to raise $500 for Black Power 96 Radio during their July fund drive. So we have an exciting show planned for you today, and we're going to be starting out playing clips of Chairman Omali Yeshitela's presentation from an event a couple of weeks ago titled 250 Years of Colonialism and Resistance. And I'm just going to check to see. And we do have joining us as well APSC Chairwoman Penny Hess.
Uhuru.
Uhuru, thank you so much, Chairwoman Penny. It's great to see you. I was just introducing the show for today and what we're going to be talking about. So playing clips from the chairman's event from a couple of weeks ago, 250 Years of Colonialism and Resistance. And we will watch a clip about the Uhuru 3 appeal that is coming up. There's oral arguments coming up next week in Atlanta, Georgia. So we're going to play a clip from a past event that explains what the appeal is about and just calling on people to come to that hearing in Atlanta, Georgia next week. And I'm so honored to be joined by you, APSC Chairwoman Penny Hess, for our program today. And just want to see if you'd like for us to go right into the clips and then we can have a little discussion about it, or if you would like to open us up with any words.
Go ahead. Let's get started.
Great. All right. We'll get right into these clips. So this, again, as I was saying, is from an event titled 250 Years of Colonialism and Resistance, a presentation that Chairman Omali Yeshitela gave on July 5th, 2026 during the Omali Taught Me Sunday Studies that comes on YouTube on Sundays at 9 a.m. Central. And these are incredible studies that everybody should tune in for. And they're available on demand, the ones that you've missed. So that's on the Burning Spear TV YouTube channel, and it also does air as well on Black Power 96 Radio. So these are just a few highlights that we'll discuss today. The full presentation that he made is about an hour, and we'll ask if our chat moderators, Johan and Virginia, if you're able to put the link to the full presentation in the chat. That way people can tune into the full broadcast of that at a later time. But we're just going to show some highlights and then have some discussion here about that. So starting out with this first clip, where the chairman is talking about the whole America 250 celebration and he's talking about how colonial powers won the freedom to oppress colonized people.
And I think everybody should be aware that look at the struggles that's being made by this government and by the colonial powers of the world. Where are they killing people? Where is the war being made? Somebody once said, I think correctly, that this entity of what that's called the United States fought for and won freedom, the freedom to oppress, and the freedom to oppress the indigenous peoples whose land they stole, the freedom to oppress the Africans who they stole. This is what we're talking about. And then look at what's happening around the world. Where the wars are being fought and attacks are being made and threats are being made, not against other Europeans, but against Iranians, against Iraqis, against Cuba, against the whole African continent, etc. All of the Americans, against the Palestinians and whatever. This is where this is the base of the power of this 250 years that we are talking about. And so it is what has been won, if anything, is the freedom to oppress, the freedom to oppress peoples around the world, the freedom from the kings and things like that. That's why, people talk about No King's Day, and everybody's supposed to celebrate that because that represents the really great victory of Europeans and getting rid of the monarchy in Europe, but it also obscures the fact that it's not kings that's killing and oppressing African people and the Palestinians and the people throughout the Americas. It's colonialism. And that's something that many people don't want to acknowledge and recognize, that it's a colonial mode of production that it is that we are dealing with, and I think is extremely important.
All right. Well, that was just a short 2-minute clip, but just a really powerful clip that, just made the point about the colonialism being the central question. And as we look at the history of this country, the United States, the defining question. So I don't know. Uhuru, Penny.
Yeah, Lisa, thank you for starting. I wanted to blur my background. Could you help me do that?
I don't know if I can do it from this end, but
I don't know how you do it. Anyway, I'm sorry I had to come on a little late, so I'm a little discombobulated. I don't like to be in my personal setting here, but
I can't. Anyway, I don't know if I can do it from here. So if you'd rather just be on audio, if you wanted to turn your camera off, we can do that.
Okay.
Uhuru, Chairwoman Penny, you look fine. Your background is lovely.
And I haven't introduced, we have 2 other guests on.
Come on.
I was wondering where you all were. Okay.
So maybe we could, I just want to welcome Sandy, who's a member of the African People's Solidarity Committee and a special guest on today's show to join our discussion of the topics we're going to discuss. And we also have Becky, who's a member of APSC as well, who's on. And we were initially going to have them come on a little later, but just it's always great to have comrades on to talk about all of these things. So jump in if you can.
Well, I just wanted to say, I'm sorry, I might have missed this at the beginning, but we are here because this is the fundraising month for July for Black Power 96, or for Uhuru Radio, basically. And it's very, very, very exciting. I'm really, excited to be here. I want to support that. I want to put in $100 towards the fundraising. So I make my pledge to do that. I will do that today at some point. And, I just want to salute the significance of the Uhuru Movement Radio programs and the fact that there is going to be a station very soon here in St. Louis, which is really, really exciting. And I don't know, Sandy, if you could say a little bit about that, or I don't want to detract to what we're doing, but I do want people to know that, this is very significant that we have the voice of the African working class, the African Revolution. And that's why we're here, because we're the organization of white people under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party that is working for the total liberation of Africa and African people everywhere. So, Uhuru. And then we can go to our script. I know we have a script here.
Uhuru, if I can jump in, it's just great to be with both of you, Comrade Chairwoman Penny and Comrade Lisa. And I'm excited today to talk about, the whole 250th anniversary of genocide and what it means that the road to socialism is painted black. If we really want to go forward, the chairman was just talking about the no kings concept and this whole upswing of alarm about fascism, but we know that the colonial conditions that African people face every day, it's what we're seeing that people are up in, alarm about is when the chickens come home to roost, when, we begin to see some of those conditions, that we are more exposed to from the white community where we are normally sheltered. But just, and then also I know later in the program, we're going to talk a little bit, I think, about the upcoming landmark freedom of speech case in Atlanta, the Hands Off Uhuru appeal. Everyone, it's good that we can do some updates on that, and also to support, to take this program, this today's podcast, to do our part in raising funds for the Black Power 96 radio station in St. Pete. Lisa mentioned at the top of the hour, we have a goal of 500. I want to put in 50 towards that, and people who want to make a pledge in the chat or go ahead and make the donation online. I think there's probably links being dropped into the chat on the YouTube broadcast. Please do that. Let's support Black Power 96. And just you mentioned about the station in St. Louis. I do have the honor of being involved in some of the Uhuru movement's radio startups, and so it's underway. There's been a construction permit granted by the FCC, and then the Uhuru movement is in another situation of needing to jump through certain hoops with the city. We don't anticipate the kind of opposition that the bakery faced when the Uhuru movement tried to build a bakery cafe in a food desert, and there was opposition by the white gentrifiers in the neighborhood. But the Uhuru movement prevailed, the Black Power blueprint prevailed, and that bakery is going to be opening on August 15th. So that's super exciting. So it's a lot going on, and it's great to be with you to talk about it all. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Great. Thank you for that. Very excited about the opening of the new radio station, and also the opening of the Uhuru Bakery Cafe, which we can talk about more. But just the way that the city, it took a year. It took a year for African people to get the permits due to the city wanting to maintain the incredible food apartheid in North St. Louis. And, this is a city where the city government expects you to pay, basically to bribe them to do something. And of course, Deputy Chair Omali Yeshitela was like, I'll see you all in jail. We're not giving a bribe to anybody.
Yeah.
And
right on.
Those people did go to jail because they were so blatant, just so typical with the corruption here that's taken for granted. So, part of what the Uhuru movement, the whole struggle around the bakery, is setting the terms for the integrity of the African working class power, which forces the city to do what it says it is.
Yes.
Has really sort of forced that cleanup slightly, in slight ways, to the city government, which of course promised millions of dollars in funds, federal funding that was going to go after the tornado to the North Side African working class. But instead, the city just announced recently that they are going to take that money for to fill up potholes throughout the city, which is absolutely outrageous. That they always take North Side, African community money to do what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Wow.
Not that we need potholes filled. I would just say that I saw a bumper sticker the other day said, "I'm not drunk. I'm just avoiding potholes."
Wow.
Because the city purposely decided to invest no infrastructure money into the North Side so that it would be purposely deteriorated, grabbed up by developers and made into condos for mercenaries operating drones at the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, Pentagon of the West. The Uhuru movement is pushing back on that, making it very difficult for them to do what they want to do.
Uhuru.
Wow. Well, it's going to be so great. I'm so grateful for Black Power 96 Radio and then the upcoming station in St. Louis to have more shows and discussions about all of this. Such an important platform to tell these stories and tell the truth about everything that's happening in St. Louis and everywhere else where African people are struggling and how we can do something about it, as the slogan of Black Power 96 says, not just explaining the world, but changing it. And just want to, just remind people that if you'd like to contribute to the Black Power, the White Lies Shattered show goal for the Black Power 96 fund drive, you can go to blackpower96.org/reparations. You can also give on Cash App at $Black Power 96, and we'll be announcing our, progress towards our goal during this show. And just want to thank Penny and Sandy for your pledges so far. I'm also going to put in $50 to start. So that brings us up to $200, and we have $300 to go. So if you haven't donated yet to our audience, please go ahead and donate, and we'll talk more about that a little later on. But are you guys ready for another?
Well, I would just like to salute some of the people that are on. I see Comrade Jackie from Maine, from the Green Party. I see USM, I guess, is that Virginia?
Yes, we have Virginia and Johan.
Yeah, Johan. And I saw, I thought I saw Lisa Davis on.
I saw that too.
And so maybe that's some of the people that we have on right
now. Some of the ones that we can see. And also, Unemployed Scholar 4320 said Uhuru shared the stream, so we really appreciate that. We want to get this out far and wide and more people tuned in, so thank you so much for that. And are you guys ready for another clip from 250 Years of Colonialism and Resistance by the chairman?
Let's go. Let's hear it.
Here we go.
Of course, for us, political violence, as we know, started a long time ago. There's never been a time where African people have not experienced political violence coming from the colonizers. But the other thing that I found interesting is that they talked about how also much of what we see developing, and this was something that was spoken of at 2020 at the Munich Security Conference in Germany, that was attended by wealthy and influential political forces from around the world, including Zuckerberg, and people who are in government in the United States and other places, where they were talking about the end of restlessness and westlessness, that the power and authority of the colonizer. Because when they say the West, they don't mean just Europe. Everything is the West where white people are. They're talking about Australia, they're talking about New Zealand, they talk about Israel. This is the West. And so they're talking about the end of westlessness, or the beginning of westlessness, where there is no West that's dominating the world. And so when you hear them talking about you will not replace us, this is not just something that's coming from some ragged, some uninformed mob of white people. The most significant forces, thinking representative of the ruling class, was also involved. We're also involved in having this discussion about restlessness on the horizon. So, and this is a fear. It informs so much of the policies of this country. Think about this. They're talking about how one thing that they were concerned about is about 2045, there's a prediction that white people in this country will be a minority. Now, what the hell does that mean? You're the colonizers. You're settlers here. You're settlers with no history, no connection to this country. And that's why you're trying to firm up this 250 years we've been here. And 250 years is like the bat of an eye for the people of Iran, for Africa, etc. This is just something that has just actually begun. But this whole notion of fanning these flames and locking the brains of people into something that's significant because it's 250 years old in terms of this country trying to consolidate and create a national identity. And we've said it all along that America's not a nation. It's a prison of nations, which is why you find the indigenous people and also this fear of the settlers becoming a minority, just like in Israel, why they won't let the Palestinians return back to Palestine, and because then the Israeli minority becomes even a much greater minority. And in this situation where the Europeans who are here, now we're talking about them becoming a minority by 2045, which is part of the explanation of the birth control use of prisons, locking up young African men at the age that they would be most actively involved in reproducing life. This is one of the reasons why they have mobilized troops to the southern border to keep the Mexicans and other people from coming across that border. You don't have any National Guard troops at the northern border to keep keep Canadians from coming, but there are other people because the white people have become a minority and because the colonizers have defined themselves as white. For them, this is the glorious thing to be, and which is one of the reasons that we reject simply recognizing them as white. They're colonizers, and this is the thing that makes the distinction, because you cannot not be white. They don't know how you can not be white. Maybe go back to Africa and stay there long enough, perhaps. But I'm not going there. But anyway, I just wanted to say those things. I know I overspoke what you were just asking about, but the thing is that they are being replaced, and that's a real serious contradiction they have.
Uh-oh, Lisa, we can't hear you.
Oops, sorry, I forgot to unmute. That was just a very, very powerful clip from the chairman, and I just love how he, just how one of the aspects of what he summed up about how 250 years is like no time in history, and then just comparing it to the civilizations from the past, and that are still here, and yeah. So
also, what the chairman was talking about, how the U.S. is the prison of nations, which is something that that he has referred to and talked about in the past and many times, and the fact that this is land stolen from the indigenous people, genocide committed against them, as well as the the kidnapping and assault on Africa and African people, the enslavement of African people, the theft of African labor and resources for more than 600 years is just the pedestal upon which this country and the system rests. And I think that is the message that, the thing that the chairman calls the colonial mode of production, that colonialism is the DNA of this system. It's not something from the past. It's something that that is the essence of the system. It wouldn't be here without that, without slavery, without genocide. So I just think that is such an important concept and something to me that is so enlightening.
Well, you know, the tide is turning. I mean, I love when he draws out the whole concept and these colonial, you know, imperial rulers write about how fearful they are of this threat of Westlessness, and the tide is turning, and you know, we as white people have opportunity to be a part of the future. You know, just talking about the 250 anniversary of America. I mean, you could just see with over in Iran and all around the world, over 40 million people came out to
Yes.
attend the funeral of the Iranian supreme leader who was assassinated, murdered in his office with his family by America and Israel. And you know, these people came out, and it was out of love for their leadership and in opposition to the U.S. And then in contrast, Trump has some little, was it the the wrestling or the fighting thing he had?
Yeah.
And then yeah, nobody came, and then they try to make well, it was too hot, or you know, there was bad conditions. Like, it wasn't bad conditions all over the Middle East and all over the world, where 40 million people is the biggest human gathering in human history, is what I was reading. So the tide is turning. It's done. And
that's so true. I mean, and it's really exciting because, you know, just the people are turning their backs on the U.S. and this colonialism and colonial mode of production, and you know, just also with China, with Russia, all of these places are banding together in a much stronger way. They're like, get them, you know, they're strengthening the BRICS relationship and other kinds of political and economic relationships, and just like, you know, the U.S. just leave it alone, let it rot.
And the chairman says the road to socialism is painted black, which we really embrace from the Uhuru Solidarity Movement and the African People's Solidarity Committee. And it means because we're not going to get to the socialist, fair, just world that so many of us want by, you know, labor unions or you know, by the white workers being in charge of it. It's never happened that way. Where you see the resistance is from colonized people. And in America, it's the African liberation struggle that has posed, according to their own words, the greatest internal threat to the internal security of the U.S. This is the Achilles heel. The African liberation struggle is the Achilles heel. So if we want to see a socialist world, we need to support the Black Power Blueprint, Black Power 96 Radio, the contending political economy, the dual and contending economy that is being built by the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru movement. That's the way to get to socialism.
The future. That's the future for everybody. I mean,
well, and we have people who are doing that today. So I just want to thank MQ, who donated $10 today. Uhuru MQ.
Miss you, comrade.
Yes, and also to Johan, who donated $50, who's a great longtime, both of these comrades, MQ and Johan, longtime supporters of Black Power 96 Radio. So just really want to salute that. And we have one more short clip. It's just about 2 minutes, but it is talking about
Indigo's on.
Oh, okay, Indigo. Uhuru Indigo. So Indigo says colonialism is the root of all of our problems, including the white people. Join the fight to overturn this parasitic system and liberate the world. Reparations now for African national self-government. Uhuru Indigo, thank you for tuning in, being part of today's show. So the chairman, it talks about the road to socialism is painted black that Sandy was just mentioning. And so there's a short little clip of that. So let's play that and we can keep going.
I want to just make one other statement, because I think it's really important, because people are trying to find a way to get to socialism or communism, et cetera. And we say the road to socialism is painted black. And by this, we mean black in the same generic sense that Malcolm X talked about black. When he talked about the difference in the Negro Revolution and the Black Revolution. And he said the revolution is happening in all these different places. And he talked about the Black Revolution happening in Cuba, and the Black Revolution happening in Vietnam and all these other places, etc. This is the revolutionary movement that we're all connected to. And it's really important for us to recognize that, because when we supported the Iranians in 1979 and had a march in Gainesville, Florida, that was attacked by mobs of white people, there were leftists, there were black nationalists in New York who condemned us for doing this because they were saying something like the Iranians are white people too. But the fact is that's not true. And when I say it's not true, I mean it's not true in the sense that nobody is white in the way complexion. That's not who defines who is white. There was a time that the Irish were not white. There was a time the Irish had to earn their whiteness in this country by joining in with the white people who were oppressing Africans, etc. They became the police force. The paddy wagons has its origin in the paddies, who were the Irish, who have given jobs oppressing African people at a particular time. So when we talk about the white man, etc., we are talking about some self-identified colonizer whose whiteness became a means of claiming the assets of the colonized peoples of the world.
Uhuru. Uhuru, powerful.
Yeah, very powerful. I also we're to the end of our time for this segment, but I did just also want to mention there's a really good article in the Burning Spear newspaper July issue, and it's on theburningspear.com, and it's written by the managing editor, Soliana Bekel, and the title is America 250 Celebrates Colonial Violence, and people should just check that out. And I think I'm
a big fan of Soliana's articles.
I know, they're so good, and it's just, yeah, people have to read that too. And I think if our chat moderators could drop that in the chat too, that would be really great. Otherwise, people can just go to theburningspear.com and you'll find it there.
And also the Substack. I subscribe to the Burning Spear on Substack, which if you do that, then you get a notice in your email every time there's a new article, and so much great stuff is up there.
Yes.
Doesn't the Substack have a huge following?
Oh, yeah.
I thought, yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, definitely sign up for the Burning Spear Substack.
And for the YouTube channels of both Uhuru Solidarity Movement and Burning Spear TV, because then when it goes live, as probably YouTube viewers are aware, you get a little notice on your phone. You're like, oh, gotta tune in. It's going live.
That's right. Well, I'm going to do a quick pitching break, show some slides, and then we'll come back to our next segment. All right. So we just want to say that White Lies Shattered, Reparations in Action is part of the programming lineup on Black Power 96 Radio. We air at this time on Fridays on 96.3 FM in St. Petersburg, Florida, and streaming online through the Black Power 96 mobile app. And Black Power 96 Radio is 100% funded through donations from listeners and supportive businesses. But you, our listeners, our audience, that's who powers Black Power 96 Radio. And today we're raising funds for the station. And it's a very important platform that allows us in the white community to study and discuss the struggle for African liberation. And White Lies Shattered has our goal today to raise $500 towards the station overall $10,000 goal. And as it looks like we're at $260, so a little over halfway towards that $500 goal, $240 to go. And we're calling for donations from you, our White Lies Shattered audience, as a stand of material solidarity from the white community with Black Power 96.3 and the democratic right of African people to build and control their own independent media. So make your donation today, and we've been thanking people. We'd love to thank you. Your donation today supports the station getting a new transmitter. It's one of the most important pieces of equipment for the station, reaching the community there on the south side of St. Petersburg, Florida, and all the other operating expenses are supported by donations too. So donate to Black Power 96. It supports the Black community having its own radio station, being a self-reliant, community-controlled, having a self-reliant and community-controlled media capacity. So as I mentioned earlier, you can get the Black Power 96 mobile app on Google Play or the App Store. And here's the ways to donate. This is another show's link. Sorry about that. But blackpower96.org/reparations is the show link for our show. You can also go to blackpower96.org/donate or Cash App Black Power 96. It all goes into the same place. So whatever link you use that is displayed here will go to the same place. But you can also write a check, Black Power 96, 1245 18th Avenue South, St. Petersburg, Florida, 33705. And we want to really just thank everyone who donates. When you donate, you will get a thank you, but really just want to shout out some of the sustaining members of Black Power 96 who support every month. They give a donation every month. That includes MQ and Johan, who donated an extra amount today in addition to their monthly sustaining donations. Also Janice in Florida, Becky, who we have on and who's going to join us a little later, and Leah in Minnesota, Ruby, Brendan, and Stephanie in Missouri, Michael in Wisconsin, Ryan in Illinois, Janet in Washington, Virginia in Indiana, who's chat moderating for us today, and Renee in Pennsylvania. These supporters give a monthly donation to provide a stable base of funding for the station, and we encourage anyone who is not already a monthly sustainer, consider giving that kind of consistent, reliable support to the station, $5, $10, $25, or more a month. And we also want to shout out all the supporting members who have already contributed during this drive. There's too many to name, so if you didn't hear your name mentioned, we just want you to know that we appreciate every contribution. They all make a difference. And there are some give back, so everyone who donates will get a magnet. And if you're able to give $100 or more today or become a $10 monthly sustainer, Black Power 96 is sending fanny packs as a thank you, really cool and functional fanny packs. If you give $300 today or become a $25 a month monthly sustainer, you can get a Black Power 96 shirt. And if you give $600 today or become a new $50 a month sustainer, you get this awesome Black Power 96 wireless speaker. So I think that's everything we have to share for the pitching, but I just want to appreciate everyone who has contributed so far and just double check and see. I do see we have Indigo donated $25, and Becky, who's already a sustaining member, gave another $25 on top of the generous monthly contribution that you're already making. So just want to really appreciate that. And
Uhuru,
I know
comrades.
We're going to get our total updated here, but let's move on to our next segment and we will announce the total. We're getting closer to our goal.
We are getting closer. Really want to thank everybody who put in, and let's continue. We're a little over halfway there, it sounds like. So we can do this.
Absolutely.
We absolutely need to get this transmitter. We want to continue, contribute to that in the strongest way. And I know everybody wants to see that happen. Is that the transmitter for St. Louis?
No, it's the transmitter for St. Pete. So it's
okay.
They're working from the original transmitter that when the station launched, I think in 2017. So it's almost been 9 years, and it's just a piece of equipment that needs to be replaced periodically. So the station is just preparing to swap out the old one with the new one, and that's
exciting.
Very exciting. Staying on top of all that equipment maintenance that needs to happen at a radio station. So
I also wanted to salute the station manager in St. Pete, Mr. Eddie.
Eddie Maltzby.
Eddie Maltzby, just really inspiring. A lot of times we ask him to come on. And we can do that again soon on this show. We want to be, we have a lot of really great shows coming up in the next period. A lot of great guests that we're going to be having, and really want to rev it up again. It's really important for people to see reparations in action. But I do want to salute Mr. Eddie Maltzby, just really powerful, dynamic station manager there in St. Pete.
Absolutely.
Always an honor to be there and see him.
So inspiring, so creative, just always coming
Yes.
up with like, if people don't already tune in, I mean, sometimes when you're far away from St. Pete and you're not driving around right in there, it's
I
kind
know.
of easy to forget. You just got, but you download the app, and then when you're on a walk or you're driving, just, before
Turn
you
it
start
on.
driving, but just
Yeah.
tap that app and start listening, and you will be just thrilled with everything that you hear, just the music that you won't hear on some regular station, just a dynamic mix of African music that's refreshed all the time with amazing volunteers and staff that are there, and then just the political talk that you'll hear nowhere else.
Well, yeah,
Speeches by
just
the
really,
chairman and everything.
I also want to salute Akile Anayi, the
Mm-hmm.
director of all of the party's media,
Mm-hmm.
including the Burning Spear newspaper and
Absolutely.
all of the, of the, what do you call it, the sound media as well. And
Mm-hmm.
just really, really dynamic. What a great team and leadership.
Yeah.
And it's very, very inspiring.
Yes.
Uhuru, I got to jump in on that salute for Mr. Eddie and all the
Yeah.
leadership of this work, because we call him the hardest working man in radio, because 100% blind. This man is a genius. It just shows you the genius of the African working class, that someone who is 100% blind has for years was a beloved street performer in St. Petersburg with his guitar, singing, playing music. And then when the institution of Black Power 96 opened up at the Uhuru House, when this radio station opened up, he came over, he started having a show, he became assistant manager, then he became manager. This man, if you watch him work, because as I mentioned, I have the honor of helping with some of the radio work that the movement does. For one thing, he has his debit card memorized. Like who can, hear him placing orders, and everything is in his head. Oh, you need somebody's phone number? Okay, he knows what it is. He organized entire gospel concert benefits. He comes out of a gospel tradition.
Yes, he does.
He used to travel and perform.
Amazing.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Incredible.
And he's organized entire concerts. Got the church venue to donate the space, or to give a good supportive rate for the venue. Organized all of the performers, all the bands. I mean, just absolutely genius. And you think about the repression and the brutal violence against African people, and when that genius is unleashed, when that is freed, and the colonial mode of production is overturned, and the boot on the neck of African people is torn off, what an incredible world it's going to be. I just look forward to that world. I want to be part of that world. That's why and just really encourage everyone to who hears this program or learns anything about the Uhuru movement from the white community, join. Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Yeah,
thank
absolutely.
you. Yes, comrade.
Thank you for that.
Inspiring. Yeah, thank you.
Well, and we have to move to our next segment, which is a really important segment about the Hands Off Uhuru campaign and the upcoming oral arguments hearing in the Uhuru 3's appeal. And we have a clip that's about 9 minutes from a past event where Jesse Neville, who's chair of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement and one of the Uhuru 3, along with Chairwoman Penny Hess, who's on this program, he's speaking with Attorney Leonard Goodman, one of the attorneys on the case. It's a 9-minute clip that's talking about the significance of the appeal and breaking down, what it's about. But it also includes, for those who are not familiar with the Uhuru 3 and the Hands Off Uhuru case, it gives a little bit of background at the beginning. So I just want to make sure we can get through that clip, have a little more discussion, and then we'll be wrapping up the show. But here we go with this presentation from Jesse Neville and Attorney Leonard Goodman.
So the Uhuru 3, as we know, faced trial in Tampa in September of 2024 and faced charges of acting as unregistered Russian agents and conspiracy to act as unregistered Russian agents, which carried a maximum penalty of 15 years in federal prison. effectively the threat of a death sentence for Chairman Omali Yeshitela, who was the primary target. And the attorneys brilliantly argued and carried out the political legal strategy to prove that everything that the Uhuru Three and the chairman engaged in was legal speech protected by the U.S. Constitution's First Amendment and the Bill of Rights, and which ultimately even the judge had to admit on the record. And it wasn't just any speech. It was speech consistent with more than 50 years of leadership and work by the chairman and the party. Reparations speech, speech against genocide, speech for the liberation of Africa and African people. And yes, speech in opposition to the US proxy war against Russia, consistent with, as the attorneys showed through 50 years of burning spear newspapers, the fact that the chairman has opposed every single U.S. imperialist and U.S. proxy war that has taken place since the inception of the party and even before the inception of the party. So the chairman famously condemned this prosecution as a political attack. He said it was the canary in the coal mine, opening the door for escalated attacks on free speech rights for everyone. That has proven to be the case. The trial ended with a split verdict. The Uhuru Three were acquitted of the main charge of acting as unregistered Russian agents. And that was a tremendous political victory. As the chairman said on the steps of the courthouse that day, the government could not convict the Uhuru movement of working for anyone except for Black people. And the jury rejected the government's attempt to delegitimize the agency of African people by attributing the voice of African people to Russian propaganda and disinformation, quote unquote. But due to a lot of the issues laid out in our appeal that attorney Leonard Goodman is going to talk to us about, including confusing, misleading jury instructions and prosecutorial misconduct and lies, the jury came to a split verdict convicting the Uhuru Three of conspiracy to do the thing that they found the Uhuru Three not guilty of actually doing. I want to end this introduction by quoting the attorney that we're about to hear from, Leonard Goodman, who said, "The government here is using this foreign agents law to prosecute members of an activist group for political speech and activism in opposition to U.S. foreign policy. In so doing, this prosecution strikes at the heart of the First Amendment." So we just want to welcome and salute the incredible attorney, Leonard Goodman. Uhuru.
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 Uhuru. Good to see you as always.
Oh, it's great to see you all. Yeah, so we'll have oral arguments. I guess they're rarely granted down in Atlanta. We got one, so they clearly think that our appeal has legs, and they want to hear from the lawyers. They want the government to defend their prosecution. They want to hear our position as to why this needs to be reversed. And we have 15 minutes to make that case. The government will also have 15 minutes to make their case. We have basically three issues on appeal. One is that this case should never have been allowed to go to trial because, as you mentioned, it targets political speech. And as Jesse told you, the judge actually came around to this view. It took a while. But at the sentencing hearing, he said, yes, this case was just about political speech. I wish he had come around to that a little earlier. It might have changed this. But really, the argument is you should never have had to stand trial for political speech. And I think we all know why they were targeted. Lots of people make political speech, lots of groups that have followers the way the chairman does and Jesse and Penny do, that have followers. Make political speeches. So why was yours so threatening? Well, I think if you remember what was happening in July of 2022, the U.S. government was trying to convince Congress to fund a proxy war against Russia. As Jesse said, all of you have already completed your probation. So it's not about you all facing jail or anything like that. It's about precedent. Because if they can do this to these three, the Uhuru Three, they can do it to anyone that has political speech, that has followers, that has people listening to them, where that speech is inconvenient to the government's political agenda and especially their imperialist agenda.
Yes.
So we have three issues. So the first issue is it should never have been brought. The second issue is, well, there's no evidence. They didn't present any evidence that you all were agents of Russia, which an agent under the law, it means you're under the direction and control of Russia. No, there was no such evidence. Now, normally that's a losing issue to say there's no evidence after a jury comes back with a finding. But in this case, it's very unusual. First of all, they had no witnesses at trial that pointed a finger and said, I saw this guy, these people act as agents, or I saw them do something illegal. Not one person. They've been around South Florida, Tampa, St. Petersburg area for 50 years. Not one person could they find that could say a bad word about them. So it was a paper case, documents that they pulled off the web of their communications with Russian national. And then they called 4 agents to go through these documents and explain them to the jury and explain their significance. Every single one of those 4 agents said there was no evidence that they were under direction and control. They were pursuing their own agenda, and they were not pursuing Russia's agenda, and they would espouse, they would join with Russia on certain issues that furthered their core values. So that should be the end of the matter, really. There is no evidence. They've admitted it. The government really has no answer to any of these. You know, they bring up the argument of national security, which is sort of the last refuge of scoundrels. Well, we're doing this for national security. And the one thing I think people need to keep in mind, and I think it's wonderful for people to come down to Atlanta and show support, but it's very important for people to be respectful of the court, because we don't want to give any fuel to this bogus argument that this is somehow a national security case. You can look at the indictment. The court can look at the indictment. There's nothing in there about national security. What the indictment says is you all are guilty of spreading pro-Russian speech, which they call propaganda and misinformation. Although, as we showed at trial, there was no misinformation. Everything that you said was truthful. Everything that Omali said was truthful about the support of Ukraine, about the coup in 2014, about NATO's encroachment towards Russia's borders. It was all truthful. But, you know, that doesn't matter to the government because it was inconvenient and they didn't want you making those truthful points. So that's the second argument. The third argument is, well, how do you convict somebody of a crime with no evidence? Well, you mislead the jury. And so that's our third argument. It's probably the least important argument because it would only get us a new trial. The other two would be a complete win, a vindication, an exoneration. A new trial will still take as a door prize, but and win the case at a retrial. But so those are our 3 arguments, and we'll have 15 minutes to present it. Now,
you came on pro bono. You've stayed on as such ever since, every step of the way. What has this case meant to you, and why has it been so important to you for you to be a part of this?
Well, I believe in free speech. I'm, maybe a free speech absolutist. And this is an incredibly dangerous case to say that we're going to prosecute you under federal criminal law, make you face long prison sentences if convicted. And we're going to do that because we don't like the contents of your political speech. Now, I had known of Chairman Yeshitela's work throughout the years, and I happen to agree with his anti-colonialist views, but that really wasn't the reason why. I believe in what the Supreme Court has said for 100 years, is that the cure for bad speech, if you think somebody is saying something wrong, the cure for that is more speech. Correct them. Go out there and give your own speech. Write your own articles. Write your own op-eds. It's not to censor. It's not to prosecute people for speech that we don't like. And if this precedent is followed, if the courts allow this type of case, we're all in danger.
Uhuru. Thank you so much, Attorney Goodman. It's been an honor to have you on, and we're very proud to be represented by you as well as our other incredible lawyers. And we'll see you in Atlanta.
Okay. Thank you all.
Uhuru.
Uhuru.
Wow.
So powerful. What a great clip. I mean, forget about these amazing, situations and statements by the attorneys and, and Comrade Jesse. It's great to see him there. And of course, the political leadership that the chairman gave to the attorneys to say, to win them, that this is the political trial. This is the political case of the century. So that was very inspiring and moving.
Yeah. Well, and we do have Becky on as well, who I just wanted to invite to join us for these final minutes of discussion. If you had anything that you wanted to contribute, Becky, just so glad to have you on. And
Becky, Uhuru, oh, so great to see you, comrade.
Yes, it's great to be with you.
Yeah.
We just had we have two comrades here from Minneapolis, where a lot's been happening around the ICE and the attacks on the Mexican and others from other nationalities of people, and lots going on there.
Ongoing.
Yeah, we do have a past episode of that too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I'm really, really proud and honored to be a member of the African People Solidarity Committee and appreciate your leadership, Chairwoman Penny. And to be able to support Black Power 96 Radio I'm a new monthly sustaining member.
All right.
And, the station is such a vital community lifeline, really appreciated by local people. As part of my volunteer work there, I'm able to talk to some of the small business owners in the community, and they literally love the station manager and world's best blind DJ Eddie. They value his work, and when you listen, you hear culture that really empowers, and it's really enlightening information and building Black power. And that matters to all of us, as you taught us, Chairwoman Penny, and the chairman says the road to socialism is painted black. So I say, let's get going. Uhuru.
Uhuru, Becky, thank you so much. I agree. Let's get going. Let's make the road to socialism painted black. Let's get started down that road.
And right now to Atlanta. The road is to Atlanta, July 22nd.
Yes,
and I do have
everybody come out.
I have a flyer for that I'll show, but I did just want to acknowledge, I believe, so we just saw the chairman in that clip, and I believe we have a donation from Chairman Omali Yeshitela that came through.
Wow.
Yeah, I just want to really thank the chairman for that. So that brings our total that I'm seeing up to 345, and we still have 155 to go. So let's keep donating.
Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, thank you so much, Chairman. Really appreciate it.
Wow, what an honor.
Sort of White Lies Shattered.
Uhuru.
We're going to keep building this show and get, build our audience and reach more people and just keep getting this message out and winning more white people to this stance that, Comrade Becky is taking, supporting the station, working as a volunteer at Black Power 96, and a lot of different projects under the leadership, as a member of the APSC. And let's see, we do have to wrap up pretty soon. We do have to wrap up now. It's, 1 hour really goes by really fast.
I know.
But the main announcement that I think we wanted to say this week is, for everybody to come out to Atlanta for the oral arguments of the Uhuru 3's appeal. And I will show a flyer for that.
And I know the very great events happening before and after will be live streamed on the Burning Spear TV YouTube channel. So if you can't be in Atlanta, you can tune in on that channel to see these great events co-sponsored by the Black Law Students Association at Georgia State. We get to see the chairman, and then after the hearing, we get to hear the summation of how that went. So I won't be able to be in Atlanta, but I will be tuned in.
Yeah, and people can get all the info about that at handsoffuhuru.org. And I just want to thank you so much, Chairwoman Penny and Sandy and Becky, for this very dynamic discussion. I think we shattered some white lies about the significance of the 250th anniversary of the USA's founding. The chairman shattered those white lies, and we discussed it. And, internalizing it and getting that message out to the white community. And I just want to thank you again. So letting people know that, you know, you've been listening to the White Lies Shattered Reparations in Action podcast. Our show airs Fridays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time at Black Power 96.3 FM radio in St. Petersburg, Florida, and live streamed on YouTube and then on demand wherever you get your podcasts. If you have a question or idea for the show, you can email us at, we have two email addresses. One, they both will work, but we've put White Lies Shattered, that name, more in the front lately. So White Lies Shattered at blackpower96.org will reach us, and we'd love to incorporate feedback and ideas and questions into our future shows. So until next time, we say unity through
reparations. Forward to Atlanta.
Forward to Atlanta.
All right. Venceremos.
Venceremos.
We are winning.
Uhuru.
Uhuru.